Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome to the sacred journey of Call Mantra, Embrace Divine Grace. Let the celestial vibrations uplift your spirit and guide you toward inner peace, abundance, and divine blessings. Open your heart, chant with devotion, and awaken the infinite grace within you.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a philosophical and historical journey straight into the heart of ancient Indian scripture, specifically the Shrimad Bhagavad Gita.
That's right. We're digging into a collection of insights focused squarely on Gita Chapter 7, the Jnana Vijnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge and wisdom.
And our mission today feels, twofold, doesn't
And it really is. First, we want to grasp the profound philosophical knowledge that Krishna imparts to Arjuna, that core teaching.
Okay.
And second, to understand the unique, really powerful significance this particular chapter holds during the period dedicated to honoring ancestors.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is how the deep philosophy and, living tradition intersects so directly.
We're seeking those deep nuggets of knowledge that define the relationship between the material universe and the ultimate divine reality.
It's almost like a roadmap, isn't it? Understanding how everything connects using this one specific text as our guide.
Exactly. And that traditional context you mentioned, it's key to unlocking the full value of this deep dive, I think.
How so?
Well, the tradition really emphasizes the immense spiritual merit, the punya, that comes from reciting or even just hearing the Gita during Pitru Paksha.
Ah, yes, Pitru Paksha. That specific period for the ancestors, usually late monsoon season.
That's the one, a time dedicated entirely to remembering and performing rites for our forefathers.
And the effect of reading Chapter 7, then, isn't just for the person reading it, is it? It's aimed outwards.
Precisely. The tradition holds that this act brings profound peace, or shanti, and spiritual satisfaction, tripti, to the pitris themselves, to the ancestors.
So it's like spiritual maintenance for the whole family line.
You could put it that way. And even more dramatically, this practice is said to provide definitive freedom from Pitru dosha.
Wow, Pitru dosha. That's that karmic blockage people talk about, right?
Yeah.
Stemming from unfulfilled ancestral duties.
That's the idea. So clearing that, it's a major claim for the power of reciting this chapter.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit then.
Right.
If the entire Gita is considered, divine utterance,
Right.
why Chapter 7? Why Jnana Vijnana Yoga? Why is it singled out and given such immense power during this specific time of ancestral rites? It feels like there's a particular key hidden here.
It does suggest that, yes. And I think part of it comes down to, spiritual efficiency, maybe.
Efficiency, how do you mean?
Well, while reciting the entire Gita is considered overwhelmingly beneficial for a living being's welfare kalyankari, as they say.
Sure, the whole 18 chapters, that's the ideal.
It is. But let's be honest, daily recitation of all 18 chapters is a massive time commitment for most people.
Definitely.
So the tradition seems to offer Chapter 7 as a kind of high-yield, focused investment. It contains exactly 30 verses.
30 verses, okay, that's much more manageable for daily focus, especially during Pitru Paksha, which can be quite intense.
Exactly. Maximum impact, perhaps, for a focused effort.
But what is it about the actual content of Chapter 7? What knowledge makes it so uniquely beneficial for the departed?
The stated intention is really specific. It's threefold, and it speaks directly to what a soul might need after death.
Okay, what are they?
The focus is, first, on securing the ancestors' peace, giving them that shanti. Second, ensuring they receive the necessary spiritual energy, and in turn, receiving their blessings.
Right.
And third, most critically, showing them the definitive path to liberation, to mukti.
Ah, so if a soul is stuck, maybe due to earthly attachments.
Precisely. It needs the highest knowledge. The knowledge that defines the ultimate reality to help it move on. Chapter 7 provides that core metaphysical understanding.
That's the ultimate promise then, isn't it? It sounds like it goes way beyond just bringing peace or comfort.
Oh, absolutely. It connects the descendants' action reading or listening directly to the ancestors' ultimate spiritual fate.
How so?
The ultimate promise is profound. Those who listen to the supreme truth revealed in this chapter with sincerity find that their ancestors become absorbed in the supreme Brahman.
Absorbed into Brahman.
Yeah.
That's liberation, essentially.
That's the highest goal. The spiritual absorption, this attainment of the ultimate reality, is what liberates the descendants from the Pitru dosha.
So the debt isn't just paid. The whole karmic issue is resolved at the source.
It suggests that, yes, that the greatest service we can do for our ancestors is to help illuminate their path to ultimate freedom through this specific knowledge.
That mechanism, that knowledge of the universal source, dissolves generational karmic debt. That's a massive insight in itself.
It really is.
Now, before we get into the philosophy itself, I noticed the tradition puts a lot of weight on hearing something called the Mahatmya first. What exactly is that? What's its role?
Ah, the Mahatmya, yes. Think of it as the glory narrative. It's the story about the chapter that establishes its efficacy and its spiritual credentials.
So it's like the proof of concept.
In a way, yes. It's the assurance derived from sacred history that this practice works. We're told that the benefit and merit, the punya of the recitation, are increased manifold if you hear this narrative first.
Why would that be?
It primes the mind, perhaps. It grounds the abstract philosophy we're about to hear in an immediate, relatable story of its power. It builds faith and focus.
And the source of this Mahatmya, the story itself, has quite a pedigree, I understand.
It really does. Unbeatable, as you say. The tradition states that Lord Shiva himself described this Mahatmya to his consort, goddess Parvati.
Shiva to Parvati. Okay, that definitely elevates it beyond just a simple folktale.
Absolutely. That high origin turns the story into something like a sacred mandate. It grants the listener an understanding of the chapter's guaranteed spiritual impact before they even engage with the verses themselves.
Right, and this is where it gets really interesting, isn't it? Connecting that high philosophy to a startlingly specific, very human story. This origin story of Chapter 7's power, as told by Shiva. Let's meet the main character, Shankarna.
Shankarna, yes. He was a Brahmin living in the city of Patliputra. And the description of the city is interesting. Highly fortified, high-doored.
Sounds wealthy. Secure.
It suggests a place of great material significance, maybe reflecting Shankarna's own focus. Because the irony is...
he completely neglected his spiritual duties.
Totally. Pure, distilled materialism took over. He abandoned the traditional Brahmin duties, no oblations to ancestors, no deity worship. Nothing.
What did he do instead?
He poured all his energy into accumulating wealth through commerce, through vyavasaya.
Yeah.
His life became purely transactional. The only people he'd even host for banquets were royalty, for status.
So his spiritual well just ran dry because he chased status and stuff instead of his dharma.
That's the picture painted. He neglected his duties completely.
And his death. It seems almost karmically tailored to his attachments, doesn't it?
Tragically specific, yes. He was actually traveling for another material acquisition, his fourth marriage, with his whole family.
Fourth marriage. Wow.
Yes. And while sleeping at midnight, a serpent bit him. The sources really emphasize the finality, the severity of it.
Well said.
They say his condition was beyond treatment by any earthly means. Not many gems or talismans, not mantra incantations, not ashadi medicine, nothing worked.
So his fate was sealed by something beyond the material world he valued so much?
Seems that way. He died right there and became a ghost, a preta.
A ghost. So immediate consequence, long disembodied suffering. And then what?
After a very long time in that state, he was reborn, but reborn as a serpent in the Sarpa Yoni.
A serpent. Okay, that fits the cause of death. But why is that form significant?
This is the crucial psychological detail. Even as a serpent, his mind, his chitta, was still completely bound by the vasana, the deep-seated desire for wealth.
The obsession survived death and rebirth, even into an animal form.
It did. The material attachment was that strong. It wasn't just a vague memory. It defined his entire serpentine existence.
What'd that look like?
He remembered the crores of wealth he'd buried outside his house, and his single driving purpose as this serpent was to guard it himself, to deprive his own sons of it.
Wow, that's spiritual degradation right there. Guarding dirt instead of seeking liberation. The ultimate greed.
Embodied greed and possessiveness, exactly.
So how did his sons find out? He's a serpent, they're human.
This suffering apparently became so intense, his spiritual agony sort of broke through the physical barrier. While in that miserable state, he appeared in his son's dream.
In their dream?
Yes, and revealed his mental state, confessed his self-imposed greedy prison.
Okay, so that prompts the sons to act.
It does. The middle son, interestingly named Shiva, took the dream very seriously. He grabbed a spade, a kudal, and went to the location mentioned.
Did you know exactly where it was?
The narrative suggests not precisely from the dream, but he located the area through, it says, knowledge and intuition, which implies the sons maybe had a bit more spiritual inclination than their father.
Interesting detail.
He starts digging near a serpent's anthill, a Bambi.
And then? The confrontation.
Yes, a very dramatic one. A large, terrifying serpent appears, Shankarna, of course, and demands, "Who are you? Why are you digging here? Who sent you?"
And the son tells him.
He reveals his name, Shiva, and his purpose seeking the gold based on the dream his father sent.
How does the serpent react?
It laughs, but it sounds like a laugh of, spiritual despair and self-recognition. Yes, that's me.
And what he says next is the absolute core of this Mahatmya, right?
Right.
He confirms who he is and lays out the only path to liberation.
This is the essential teaching embedded in the story. Shankarna the serpent confirms he's bound to that form specifically to guard the wealth. And then he makes this definitive spiritual statement.
Which is?
He says, "No pilgrimage, Tirth, no charity, Dan, no penance, Tap, no sacrifice, Yachna. None of the traditional ways of earning good karma could free him."
Wait, why not? Those are like the cornerstones of religious practice. Why rule them out?
This is such a profound point in the story. Shankarna's main failing wasn't just neglecting rituals, it was neglecting knowledge. His bondage wasn't just bad karma, it was intellectual attachment. A fixed idea, a vasana, stuck in his mind, this wealth is mine.
I see. Rituals deal more with actions and consequences.
Exactly. But to break an intellectual bond, that attachment to the idea of mine, you need intellectual clarity. You need wisdom.
Yeah.
Jnana.
So the cure had to match the disease. An intellectual problem needed an intellectual solution.
Precisely. That's why only the knowledge-based solution of the Gita could work. Specifically, he says, only the Nectarine's 7th chapter, the Amritmay Saptam Adhai.
Nectarine, meaning life-giving, liberating.
Yes, because it specifically removes the suffering rooted in ignorance of the true nature of reality, the suffering described here as being related to old age and death, Jara Mrityu Adi Dukkha.
And what was this specific instruction? What did the sons have to do?
The directive was very clear. On the day of his Shradh ceremony, his memorial day, the sons must sincerely offer food, bhojan, to a Brahmana, but not just any Brahmana.
Cool then.
A Brahmana who recites Gita Chapter 7. The merit had to come directly from the transmission of that specific knowledge.
And was that all?
No, there was a bit more. They were also told to feed other virtuous Brahmanas, ones who weren't addicted to anything, who were proficient in the Vedas according to their capacity.
So reinforcing the need for a generally pure and knowledgeable environment for the rite to be effective.
Exactly. Supporting true spiritual knowledge and purity.
In a result. Did it work?
Instantly and transformatively. The sons followed the instructions exactly, and the text notes with even more devotion and sincerity than instructed.
That extra sincerity probably helped.
You'd think so. And Shankarna immediately shed his serpent body. He attained a divine form, a divya day, a body reflecting spiritual liberation.
Amazing. And the gold?
He happily handed over the immense wealth, the crores, to his sons. The knowledge freed him not just from the snake body, but from the greed that had trapped his mind for so long.
But the story doesn't stop there, does it? The sons' actions afterwards are also significant.
Hugely significant. They demonstrate the practical application of jnana vijnana yoga knowledge, leading to righteous action to dharma.
How so?
Their minds were now fixed on righteousness. They didn't hoard the wealth or use it for personal luxury. They used it entirely for public good.
Like what?
Building essential infrastructure. Wells, step wells, bawadi, ponds, pokhara. They conducted sacrifices, yajna, constructed temples, established food halls, bhajan chalet.
So they understood the real lesson. Material wealth is just a tool for spiritual and social upliftment.
Precisely. They got it. And through their continuous focus on Dharma and their constant recitation of Chapter 7, they too eventually attained moksha, liberation.
Wow. That narrative provides incredible, story-based proof that this specific spiritual knowledge can overcome the deepest material bondage and literally change a whole family's destiny.
It really does. It perfectly sets the stage for understanding the philosophy of Chapter 7 itself.
Yeah, it proves knowledge is the antidote to that kind of deep-seated attachment.
And when we look at the philosophy now, we see it defines the exact nature of the reality that Shankarna was so tragically confused about.
Okay, so let's transition now. Let's dive into the core teaching of Chapter 7 itself. Krishna instructing Arjuna, promising to reveal the ultimate truth. What does he actually mean by jnana and vijnana? Are they different?
They are subtly different, yes. Jnana is often taken as the theoretical knowledge, the sort of conceptual understanding of who the divine is, what reality is made of.
Okay, the what?
Right. And vijnana is more like wisdom. It's the direct practical realization of that knowledge in one's own experience, knowing it not just intellectually, but intuitively, experientially.
The how, or maybe the so what.
Something like that. Krishna promises to reveal both. Completely. So completely that knowing it leaves literally nothing else in the world left to be known.
Nothing left to know. That's a huge claim.
It is. It's presented as the complete, all-encompassing science of existence.
Yeah.
But right away, he sets a very high bar. He emphasizes how rare achieving this enlightenment actually is.
Right. He manages expectations immediately.
He does. He says something like, out of thousands of people, maybe only one even strives for spiritual perfection.
Just strives for it.
Yeah. And then, among those rare strivers who achieve some kind of perfection, maybe only one rarely truly knows Krishna in his absolute essence.
So it underscores that just hearing this knowledge isn't enough. It takes serious, focused spiritual discipline, probably over a lifetime.
That's the implication, yes. It's not a quick fix.
So how does he begin this ultimate explanation? Where does he start building this picture of reality?
He starts with the fundamental structure of the cosmos. He defines it in terms of two powers, or two Shaktis, two energies.
Two energies, okay.
He explains that everything, all beings, arise from these two energies. And interestingly, these same two energies are responsible for the world eventually dissolving back into him at the end of a cycle.
Creation and dissolution, both from these two energies. Let's start with the first one, the one that clearly confused Shankarkarna, the Apara Shakti, the lower or material energy.
Right. This Apara Shakti is basically the entire matrix of the reality we perceive. It consists of 8 distinct elements.
8 elements, what are they?
First, the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space, or akasha, the physical building blocks.
Standard enough.
But critically, the 3 subtle elements are also included here: mind, manas, intellect, buddhi, and ego, ahankara.
Wait. Mind, intellect, and ego are classed as material energy. That's surprising. They feel internal, conscious almost.
That's a really crucial point. They are classified as material, part of Apara Shakti, because they are still products of Prakriti, of nature, and they act as limiting containers or maybe filters for the soul.
How they limit?
Well, the mind, manas, is the seat of emotions, sensory input, immediate like-dislike reactions. The intellect, buddhi, is the discriminating faculty. It analyzes, judges, decides what it thinks is true.
Right.
And the ego, ahankara, is that sense of false identification. It's the mechanism that makes us think, I am this body, I am this mind, I am the doer of these actions.
So even though they're subtle, they're still part of the machinery that binds the true self.
Exactly. They are the instruments the soul uses to interact with the world, but they are not the soul itself. They belong to the material side of the equation.
Okay, so the entire physical and psychological reality we experience day to day is this lower energy, Apara Shakti. What's the second energy then? The spark of life.
That's the Para Shakti, the higher or spiritual energy. This is the living force, the Jiva Shakti, as it's sometimes called.
So the life principle.
Yes, this is the conscious energy itself. It's the basis of life in this world, encompassing all embodied souls, the Dahadhari Atmas.
So the lower energy provides the stage and the props, and the higher energy is the actor, the consciousness using them.
That's a good analogy. All beings are simply the interaction of these two energies, matter animated by consciousness. Prakriti and Purusha, in other terms.
Right, and this understanding sets up Krishna's majestic declaration about his own position in this whole scheme, doesn't it?
It does. He states absolutely unequivocally, nothing is superior to me. He is the source of both these energies, the ultimate origin.
The buck stops there.
Completely. He's the efficient cause, the intelligent designer, and also the material cause, the substance from which everything comes. And to make this really abstract concept tangible, he uses that beautiful image.
The pearls on a thread.
Exactly. Everything rests upon me, just as pearls are strung on a thread. He's the invisible, spiritual, organizing principle, holding all the separate material pieces, the 8 elements, all beings together in a meaningful way.
Without the thread, the pearls just scatter. Chaos.
Precisely.
And he doesn't just say he's the foundation. He says he's the essence within every specific thing. He's woven into the very fabric of reality, immanent.
Yes. And this is where the teaching becomes incredibly practical, something you can almost touch and feel. He defines himself as the fundamental quality or essence of everyday experiences.
Like what? Give me some examples.
He says, I am the taste of water, the essential quality of the most vital liquid. I am the light of the sun and moon, the source of vision, time, life itself. I am the sacred syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, the transcendental sound vibration underlying creation.
Wow.
And more. I am sound in the sky, Akasha. The potential for vibration in space. And ability, Samarthya, in human beings. The inherent capacity, the potential within us.
That detail about being the pure fragrance of earth is so evocative too.
Isn't it? It connects the divine right down to the elemental level. He's that pure fragrance. He's the brilliance, the prakasha in fire.
So the very qualities that make things what they are
Ultimately him. He is the life force, the Jivan Shakti in all beings. And interestingly, he's also the tap, the austerity or penance of ascetics. The power generated by spiritual discipline comes from him too.
And he extends this to human qualities and origins as well.
Yes. He is the seed, the Adi Bij of all beings, the ultimate point of origin for everyone.
Okay.
He's the intelligence, Buddhi of the intelligent, the very capacity for understanding, and the valor, the tej, the fiery energy of the vigorous.
But there's a qualification on strength, isn't there?
A crucial one. He says he is the strength of the powerful, yes, but specifically strength that is devoid of attachment and desire. Kam or asakti rahit bal. Meaning strength used righteously, responsibly, without selfish motive or craving for results. Power aligned with Dharma.
Which leads perfectly into his final point in this section about desire itself. Desire, kam, is usually seen as a problem, a source of suffering. How does Krishna frame it here?
He frames it very carefully. He says he is desire kam, but only that desire which is in accordance with Dharma, with righteousness.
So not all desire is bad.
Apparently not. If your desire is, say, to raise a virtuous family, or to acquire wealth honestly to support Dharma and help others, or to gain knowledge for service, that kind of desire, aligned with righteous principles, is seen as an expression of the divine energy flow.
It's the other kind of desire that's the problem.
Exactly. It's the desire rooted in illusion, in moha, in selfish attachment, the kind that drove Shankukarna. That's what leads to bondage and suffering. Krishna is essentially saying, I am the source of all energy, even the energy behind desire. Just make sure you use that energy righteously.
Okay, so we've established this incredible picture. Krishna as the source, the essence, the thread, holding everything together. So why, as he said right at the start, do only like 1 in thousands even begin to get this?
Right.
If he's literally the taste of water and the light of the sun, why is he so elusive? Why this struggle?
The core obstacle, the great cosmic challenge, is identified as Maya, delusion.
Maya. Okay, that's a big concept. How does it work? What powers it?
It's powered, Krishna says, by the 3 fundamental qualities or modes of material nature. The 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Ah, the gunas. Goodness, passion, and ignorance.
Exactly, and here's the twist. These 3 qualities, which basically constitute all material experience, they all manifest from Krishna's power. They originate from him.
So the very qualities that define the material world, the veil itself, are divine in origin. That's quite the setup.
It is the ultimate divine play, perhaps, the mechanism of both creation and concealment. Sattva, goodness, brings light, clarity, happiness. But it deludes by creating attachment to that happiness and knowledge. We think, oh, I'm so good, I'm wise, and we get stuck there, complacent.
Okay. Rajas.
Rajas is passion, action, ambition. It deludes by creating attachment to the fruits of action, driving us into endless cycles of work, desire, frustration, more work, constant agitation.
And tamas?
Tamas is ignorance, darkness, inertia. It deludes through laziness, confusion, delusion, procrastination, sleep, just covering over reality.
So these 3 qualities, in endless combination, create the entire texture of our experience in the world.
They do, and because people are constantly caught up in the play of these 3 gunas, maybe feeling good, sattva, or striving intensely, rajas, or feeling dull and confused, tamas, they're unable to recognize Krishna's true nature.
Which is?
His eternal, imperishable, and superior form that exists beyond or transcendental to all 3 of these fluctuating material qualities.
And he makes it clear it's not easy to just step outside this framework.
No, he explicitly says overcoming this Maya is extremely difficult. Why? Because it's not some external, independent force opposing him. It is his own divine threefold power, his Devi Shakti.
So it's like trying to fight the very operating system of the universe using the tools provided by that operating system.
That's a great way to put it. It's almost impossible through self-effort alone, which is why he gives the only escape hatch.
Which is?
Complete surrender to him. Mam eva ye prapajante mayam etam tarantite. Those who take refuge in me alone, they cross over this illusion.
So it requires a shift from trying to figure it all out or fight it yourself.
Yeah.
Like Shankukarna trying Tirth, Dan, Tap.
Right, all those failed efforts.
To just humble submission. acknowledging a higher power that controls the illusion itself.
Exactly. Trust and surrender become the keys.
Okay, that brings us to the flip side. Those who actively avoid surrender, who effectively choose to stay locked inside Maya's play. Who are they?
He identifies 4 specific types who generally don't seek refuge in him.
4 types. What are they?
First, those who are simply deprived of real knowledge, maybe due to past karma or a lack of opportunity. Second, those described as lazy or slothful, the Narodhamas. They might be capable of seeking knowledge. They have the human birth, but they just don't bother. They waste the chance.
Okay, ignorance and laziness. What else?
Third, those whose intellect is fundamentally confused or distorted, Buddhi Brahmat. Their understanding of reality is warped, perhaps by wrong philosophies or attachments. And fourth, those with outright demonic tendencies, the Asuri Pravritti, people who actively oppose or deny the divine.
Wow, that covers a huge spectrum, from simple ignorance or apathy right through to intellectual confusion and active malice.
It does, but then, thankfully on the other side, he describes 4 kinds of virtuous people who do embrace devotion, who do turn towards him.
Okay, the positive list. Who are they?
4 types again. First, the distress, the Arda, someone suffering, seeking relief. Second, the seekers of knowledge, the Jigyasu, someone curious about the ultimate truth. Third, the seekers of wealth or material gain the Artharthi, someone wanting worldly prosperity or success. And fourth, the truly knowledgeable, the Jnani, the one who already understands.
Hold on. I get the distressed person turning to God and the knowledge seeker and obviously the wise person. But the Artharthi, the one seeking wealth or material gain, how are they considered virtuous enough to be on this list? Isn't that just more materialism?
That's a fantastic question. It really highlights the breadth and maybe the pragmatism of the path of devotion.
How so?
The Artharthi might be seeking a material outcome, yes, a better job, recovery from illness, finding a partner, whatever. But by directing that request to the Supreme, they are at least acknowledging a higher power that governs even material results.
Ah, okay. So they haven't realized the ultimate truth yet.
No, but they have taken the crucial first step of acknowledging a creator and regulator beyond just their own efforts or random chance. They've chosen a divine source for their desires, rather than relying purely on themselves or, trying to manipulate purely material forces.
So approaching the ultimate source, even if it's for a relatively low-level material goal, is still seen as a virtuous step, better than ignoring the source completely.
That seems to be the idea. It's a step on the ladder. But there's a clear hierarchy among these 4 types.
I suspected there might be. Who's considered the best?
Unsurprisingly, the knowledgeable devotee, the Jnani. Krishna says the Jnani is the best and is incredibly dear to him.
What makes the Jnani special?
They are characterized by stable, unwavering devotion, ananyapava, single-pointed focus. They aren't asking for relief or even just knowledge anymore, or certainly not wealth. They see Krishna as the only goal, the ultimate reality itself.
They've transcended those other needs.
Yes, and Krishna says he holds these wise ones as extremely dear, even equating them with his own self, because their vision is aligned with his reality.
It sounds like the Jnani is someone who has fully internalized the jnana vijnana, the knowledge and wisdom revealed in this chapter, and achieved that mental stability.
That's exactly it. Their mind is stable because they see the world through the correct lens, through the understanding of those 2 energies, Pura and Apara Shakti. They recognize that everything, ultimately, is Krishna.
They don't mistake the pearls for the thread anymore.
Perfectly put. They have achieved the clarity that poor Shankakarna only found after immense suffering and the intervention of his sons performing that specific rite.
And yet, Krishna emphasizes again just how rare reaching this state truly is.
Extremely rare. He says the fully realized soul, the one who gains this true knowledge after many births of spiritual discipline, is perhaps the rarest thing in the entire universe.
Many births. Why so rare?
Because it's only then, after exhausting all other pursuits and limited understandings through countless lifetimes, that they finally surrender completely, recognizing Krishna as Vasudeva, the origin and the substance of absolutely everything. It requires a total paradigm shift.
Okay, if that true knowledge, seeing Krishna as everything, is the ultimate goal, why do so many people, even seemingly religious or virtuous people, end up worshiping other deities, the devas?
Yeah, that's a common question, and Krishna addresses it directly. It comes back, again, to the core human condition. material desires, and consequently a limited scope of intellect.
How so?
He says those whose intellect has been stolen by material desires go to the gods, the devas. They perform specific rituals, often prescribed in the scriptures too, following rules suited to their own natures, all to satisfy these immediate temporary wants.
So they're looking for, like, the specialist. The god of wealth, the god of rain, the god of removing obstacles.
Exactly. They're focusing on the regulators of specific departments within the cosmic administration, rather than going straight to the CEO, the ultimate source of all power.
They're seeking efficiency within the material framework itself.
That's a good way to see it. They're focusing on the instruments or aspects of the divine power rather than the unified power itself. And here's the complex part.
What's that?
In fact, Krishna says he actually fixes the devotee's faith in that specific form they choose to worship. And he ultimately grants the desired boons or objects through that form.
Wait, Krishna strengthens their faith in the lesser deity and grants the wish through them. Why?
Because he is the ultimate source of all power and all results. Whether they realize it or not, the power flowing through the deva originates from him. He fulfills the desire according to the devotee's faith, honoring their chosen approach, even if it's indirect. It shows his accommodation, perhaps.
But there's a catch, right? The results they get.
Yes, the crucial difference. The results achieved by these less knowledgeable people, the Alpajnani, those with small knowledge, are explicitly stated to be temporary, perishable, nashwar.
Temporary. How so?
Worshippers of the gods, the devas, they attain the realms of those gods, the devalokas. These are celestial realms, incredibly beautiful, long-lasting, full of enjoyment.
Sounds pretty good.
It does, but they're still within the material cosmos. They're still subject to time and eventually dissolution. The enjoyment runs out, the merit expires, and the soul has to take birth again. Worshippers of Krishna, those who understand his supreme position, they attain his abode, his lok, which isn't just another heavenly planet. It represents permanent absorption into the divine reality, moksha.
So the fundamental choice is between temporary, albeit potentially vast celestial enjoyment versus eternal freedom from the cycle altogether.
That's the ultimate distinction being drawn.
And this highest truth, this understanding of Krishna's supreme nature, gets obscured by a fundamental misconception people have about the divine taking form.
Yes. He says unintelligent people, when they see the Supreme Lord manifest in a particular form, Sakar, like Krishna himself standing before Arjuna, they wrongly conclude that he must have been formless, Nirakar, before, and has now somehow become limited or constrained by adopting that form.
They mistake the appearance for the totality.
Exactly. They fail to understand his true nature, which is imperishable, supreme, and always divine, whether manifested in form or not. They don't see the eternal thread within the temporary pearl.
And the reason they can't see this, as we touched on, is because of this divine veil, Yogamaya. Can you say a bit more about how that works?
Yogamaya is presented as this inherent internal creative power of Krishna. It's the very power by which he manifests the universe, but it also simultaneously covers him from general sight.
So it creates and conceals at the same time.
Precisely. He says he is not revealed to everyone because he is covered by this Yogamaya. Therefore, the ignorant, those caught up in the material play, don't recognize him as the unborn, the imperishable source. It's not that he's actively hiding in a deceitful way. It's more that the sheer brilliance and complexity of his creative power naturally veils the source from minds focused only on the creation itself. It keeps the mystery sacred, perhaps.
And yet, paradoxically, while veiled, he knows everything. He's the master of time.
Yes, he states clearly, I know the past, the present, and the future, Arjuna, and I know all living beings. He has complete knowledge of the entire cosmic play.
But does anyone know him fully?
The text strongly implies, and sources confirm, that no one truly knows him in his entirety. Because presumably to know him completely would mean becoming equal to him, which is impossible for the individual soul, Jiva. He remains the ultimate knower, but ultimately perhaps unknowable in his absolute fullness by the limited material intellect.
This seems to feed right back into the confused state most beings find themselves in, caught in those dualities you mentioned earlier.
Yes, the dualities are like the engine of Maya at the ground level. He says all beings are confused, moha-grasped right from the moment of birth into this material world.
Confused by what?
By the illusion, the moha, generated by the constant push and pull of desire, isha, and aversion, dvesh, like and dislike, craving and hating.
We're constantly pulled between wanting things and trying to avoid things.
Exactly. And that constant oscillation keeps the mind agitated, reactive, focused always on temporary gains or losses. It prevents the stable, focused concentration needed for deeper understanding and devotion.
So how does one break free from being tossed around by these dualities? What's the prerequisite?
The path involves purifying the mind through righteous action. He says those who consistently engage in meritorious actions, whose sins are consequently destroyed, they become free from the delusion, the confusion caused by these dualities.
So virtuous action clears the mental fog.
It seems to. Once the mind is purified and steadied by leading a righteous life, then they can worship Krishna with firm resolve, with determination.
That perfectly mirrors the trajectory of Shankarna's sons, doesn't it?
It really does. They first used the wealth for dharma, building wells, temples, feeding people. That righteous action purified their minds and intent, which then allowed them to fully benefit from the knowledge of Chapter 7 and ultimately attain moksha. Action paved the way for knowledge to take root.
Okay, this leads us to the final and maybe the most critical application of Jnana Vijnana Yoga, preparing for the moment of death. What exactly does the enlightened soul need to understand to ensure liberation at that crucial transition?
This is really the practical culmination of the entire chapter's teaching, how to make sure all this knowledge actually works when it matters most. He says those who take refuge in him, specifically seeking deliverance from old age and death, the very things Shankarna suffered from his ignorance, they must achieve a holistic, integrated understanding of reality.
An understanding of what specific things?
They come to fully understand three core principles. First, Brahman, the ultimate, impersonal, all-pervading reality. Second, the self, Adhyatma, the true nature of the individual soul, Atman. And third, the field of all action, Karma, the universal law of cause and effect, how actions create results.
Brahman, Atman, Karma, the big three.
The big three. But there's more. They also need to understand Krishna's role as the supreme regulator of everything. This involves knowing him through three specific aspects, the three Adi concepts.
Three Adi concepts.
Right.
Why is knowing these so vital at the very end of life?
Because knowing these transforms the soul's consciousness into one that sees the divine presence and governance in every single aspect of existence. It creates total integration. They must know Krishna as...
Okay, what's the first?
1. Adiputta, the supreme regulator of the material manifestation, the elements of nature, seeing the divine principle within every physical object, every natural phenomenon.
Okay, the second.
2. Adidaiva, the supreme regulator of the deities, the celestial beings, the cosmic forces, seeing the divine principle governing all the powers that run the universe.
And the third.
3. Adhyajna, the supreme regulator of all sacrifices, all actions, all rituals, and the results they produce. Seeing the divine principle as the ultimate enjoyer and beneficiary of all actions undertaken.
So by knowing him as Adihuta, Adidaiva, and Adhyajna, they essentially see the divine hand governing the material world, the celestial world, and the world of action and ritual.
Everything.
Exactly. It's a totally integrated consciousness. Nothing is left out. And this consciousness is the key to navigating the final transition successfully.
How so?
The enlightened soul holding this complete understanding remains immersed, totally absorbed in Krishna's consciousness, even at the very moment of death.
And because the mind is fixed solely on the Supreme at that critical final moment, the soul automatically transcends the material world, bypasses the cycle of rebirth, and attains liberation, attaining Krishna's nature. The knowledge contained and realized from Chapter 7 ensures that unshakable, liberating focus when it counts the most. #outro.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the learner, listening today? We've seen that Chapter 7, Jnana Vijnana Yoga is, well, it's far more than just a philosophical blueprint of the universe, isn't it?
Much more. Defining the two energies, explaining Maya, that's the foundation.
But it's also a specific practical prescription for liberation, and one that's shown to be effective not just for yourself, but potentially for your ancestors too, as we saw so powerfully in that story of Shankarna.
Absolutely. The deepest lesson here, I think, is that knowledge isn't just abstract theory, it's fundamentally functional. It's about realizing the deep interconnectedness of everything.
From those 8 basic material elements.
Right up to the single unifying spiritual thread that binds them all together. And achieving that ultimate knowledge isn't just about defining what the universe is made of.
It's about understanding the how, those regulatory principles.
Yes. Understanding Krishna as the regulator, Adhibuddha, Adidaiva, Adhyajna, And crucially, maintaining that integrated consciousness, that awareness, right up until the very end.
Because the stability of your mind at that final moment determines your ultimate destination. And that stability is built on this wisdom.
Precisely.
Our source materials for today actually conclude this powerful teaching with a beautiful prayer. A prayer for the listeners' ancestors to find moksha, liberation, and for the listeners' own life to be filled with happiness and joy.
Which brings us back nicely to Shankukarna. Remember, his liberation was immediately followed by the discovery of that immense wealth. And his son's enlightened response wasn't hoarding, but using it for community good, transforming that material inheritance into spiritual dharma.
Yeah, that connection between receiving grace or knowledge and then expressing it through grateful, righteous action, that seems really potent.
It does.
And that brings us to our final provocative thought for you to maybe mull over today. If true knowledge, true vijnana, involves turning the material into the spiritual, just like the sons did, what immediate, tangible action could you take today? Perhaps something based on gratitude or remembrance, or maybe just this newfound understanding from Chapter 7. What action could start to transform your own material reality, aligning it more closely with spiritual purpose, just as the sons' use of their wealth transformed their entire lineage and ultimately secured their own liberation too?
The knowledge is now yours. The action, as always, is up to you.
Struggling with health, financial worries, wealth, relationships, or career? Don't let these challenges hold you back. Harness the ancient power of authentic Rudraksha, planetary remedies, and Vedic astrology to restore balance and attract success. But act fast. These sacred remedies are in limited stock. Visit callmantra.com today to transform your life.
If this resonated with you, join our spiritual journey. Your support keeps us growing. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So like, comment, share with friends, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.